I'd like to call this meeting of the Davenport Community School District Board of Education to order. I'd like to call this meeting of the Davenport Community School District Board of Education to order. There's quite a few. This building is a building that needs to be masked, so if you would please put your mask on, we'd greatly appreciate it.
No. Masks aren't supposed to be on your board thing tonight, right? So let's not discuss that. If you're gonna discuss masks with us, then you gotta let us speak about them. That's what we're here for.
Well, if we're not going to wear masks, then we will be asked. You will be asked to leave.
Yeah, we're more than 6 feet away from you guys. You can wear them as long as you want.
That's for your return to learn school plan.
Yeah. No child.
Sergeant
left behind,
Quick.
right? I'm somebody's
Sergeant
child.
Quick,
I'll
please.
wear one.
Ma'am, put your mask on or you will be asked to leave. Anybody that's not wearing a mask right now, so far everything has been very peaceful. We plan to keep it that way. If you're not wearing a mask, please put a mask on. If you're not wearing a mask, you will be asked to leave.
There's nothing peaceful about
With that being said, we'll go ahead and get started. Sergeant Quick, anyone not wearing a mask, please ask them to leave. Or provide them with a mask, or any other accommodation that might be necessary.
I would like to advise you that
Go
at
ahead.
this time, if you're not wearing a mask, you have been asked to leave. If you do not choose to put on a mask and you choose not to leave, they can file a trespass charge. We are here to get our voices heard.
If they let us in, how are we trespassing if they let us in? I know, right? Thank you for your service, sir. Yeah, thank you.
He's not comply. I will not comply.
Oh, that way you can do
Okay.
that? All right.
I'm a veteran. I am not going to listen to your bullshit.
There, it's on.
Okay, that's
I am not
uncalled
wearing a
for.
mask.
That is uncalled for. That guy needs to be.
You all work for us.
No.
Just a second, Allison, just a second.
I do not
Sergeant
comply.
Quick is taking care of it.
Okay,
It's
thank
okay.
you. I know, I shouldn't.
They work for us.
I'm here for my three
I don't
children
like
that are
everything
presently
that's
at West High
missing
School, and they refuse to wear a fucking mask, but they will not get an
They never gave us
education.
the choice to talk either.
They
We
refuse
blindsided them.
education to my children because they won't wear a mask.
Yeah.
Refuse education.
And TJ, you said there'd be no consequences. What's with all these kids who don't get a recess, don't get to go to sports, don't get to go to homecoming? You went back on your word. You lied.
because of this.
I'm not wearing a mask.
My son is deaf and is being segregated in a small conference room by himself every day.
I've had more bullshit.
Since you guys closed the meeting last time.
If you guys are gonna force teachers to wear masks, you need to have them all learn sign language.
I think we're ready to go now.
Yeah.
Ready to go with the meeting?
Yes, move forward. And if it keeps going, just shut it down. Let
Okay.
it know. Just shut it down. If they keep shouting out, we'll shut it down.
You up there with the gal in the shirt.
Well, we'll call for the Pledge of Allegiance now.
I pledge allegiance to the
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Director Beck, could you please read the board priorities?
Yes. The Davenport School Board establishes the following priorities to ensure the academic success of all students. Provide leadership and direction to improve the overall learning environment in our classrooms, schools, and district, including the health, safety, security, and happiness of students and staff. Direct and support actions, programs, and activities which reduce the impacts of poverty on our students, their families, and our community.
Thank you. Director Poston, the mission and vision statement, please.
Mission statement: enhance each student's abilities by providing a quality education enriched by our diverse community. Vision statement: education that challenges conventional thinking, prepares all students to compete in a global society and inspires our students, parents, staff, and community to answer the question, what if?
Thank you very much. We'll move on to presentations. Superintendent Sneckloff.
One of the things that we, in our district, we do an excellent job is assisting our students with transitions post-secondary with students that are twice exceptional. So tonight I have Susan Downs coming tonight to give a presentation. Susan? So tonight we have a presentation about our transition support for students with disabilities. So Susan, if you wouldn't mind doing some introductions and kicking it off. Thank you.
You pull up the, I don't have a mouse here. If I had a mouse, I would. All righty. It's my pleasure to introduce Lynn Kelker, who is our transition specialist for special ed for the district, and Michelle Weir, who is the transition specialist for AEA. And they're going to share some of our services and activities that we do for transition. We have other activities besides this, but they're going to share some of our special projects with you.
Thank you. Can you put that in present mode? Present mode, will it go in present mode or no? It will. That's okay if it doesn't. It's okay. So we're going to talk about 3 programs that we do have in the district. The Transition Alliance program, which throughout the meeting, we're going to refer to that program as TAP. Thank you. So the Transition Alliance program, referred to as TAP, if you go to the next slide. Our objectives of TAP is a partnership between Davenport Community School District and Iowa Vocational Rehabilitation Services. Our main objectives are that we are working to support students in that vocational training, providing independent living and post-secondary education planning for those students. Part of our thing is that we want to work on developing positive work skills with students and obtaining and maintaining competitive employment in the community. We offer follow-up services through the age of 25. And as I mentioned earlier, that is that partnership. So we're kind of an extension within the school districts, within our high schools, of Iowa Vocational Rehabilitation Services, which we will often refer to as IVRS. You could go to the next slide. Oh, thank you. So who can we serve? We can serve students that are on an individualized education plan, which we refer to IEP. And we can also, though, refer students that have a documented disability and have a 504 plan in place, and that the students have that desire to be competitively employed in the community. So obviously there's some benefits to the students, not only to the students, but also to our educators within our classroom. Some of those benefits to the students are that you get that individualized attention, the one-on-one working with the TAP coordinator. They can work with them on the job seeking skills, such as preparing for interviews, going out, supporting them on an interview, helping them with applications, and helping them, maybe they have some travel training skills that they need. So we can also provide travel training skills with using the city bus. We offer a permit trainer training where we can work with students and help them study for the permit test or their driver's license as well. The great thing about these is this service is offered year-round services. So during the summer, we do have a TAP coordinator always available to work with students and that can help them work with them one-on-one during the summer or in groups. This helps our educators because we're helping enhance those transition assessments. We can go in and go explore different career options with the students, where if we get the results and they might come out with like 10 different careers that might be interesting to the students based on the transition assessment they took, we can go and dive in deeper into those careers, offering job shadows and different things within that area. As I mentioned, there's year-round support, And the great thing is that there's support beyond high school, that once they leave us, we can still support those students beyond the high school. So there are 5 areas that we like to call pre-employment transition services. They're often referred to as pre-ETs. What that means is that we have 5 areas that we can work with students. One of those is job exploration counseling. So they can work with them, as I mentioned earlier, doing those transition assessments to kind of explore different careers. We have work-based learning experiences. This can allow students to set up those job shadows, internships within the community. We can focus on workplace readiness training, working on communication skills, social skills needed for employment, those soft skills we refer to that you come to work with. We can do the post-secondary training opportunities, arrange for visits to different colleges, different campuses. We also can focus on that self-advocacy instruction. And that's really important for our students, making sure that they're doing those student-led IEPs, ensuring that they understand what their rights are as a student with a disability, and being able to advocate for themselves what accommodations they may need. So how is this funded? It is funded for, 50% of the program is funded for with weighted dollars, and the other 50% of the program is funded and paid for by Iowa Vocational Rehabilitation Services, often referred to as IVRS. These are our outcomes. Last year was our first year really starting up this program and developing it. And as we all know, COVID hit. So this was our first starting it up during COVID year. So when you're looking at this data, I'm quite impressed with what we were able to do during that year. We started in hybrid, we went to online, came back in hybrid, and finally, around 4th quarter, our students were able to return that 100% of the time. So throughout the 2021 school year, we connected with 192 students that we were able to give those pre-employment transition services to. We had 86 students that were supported in the process of obtaining a job. 6 students received job coaching within the community at a community job. We had 8 business contacts or relationships that were formed with new businesses. And we were able to, 4th quarter, we were able to arrange, when we could finally get the release that we could start taking students out to the community, we had 9 job shadows arranged at different businesses within the community during 4th quarter. Our current year outcomes. Over on the right side of the table, you'll see current year outcomes. This represents students that are either still currently enrolled with Davenport Community School District, or they have graduated from Davenport Community School District. But out of those 5, we had 5 students that went on to attend Eastern Iowa Community College, 6 students who are attending Project Search, which I'm going to be talking about in a minute. We had 2 students accepted into the Job Corps, 3 students were going on to AmeriCorps, and we had 2 students who were also enrolled in our Access program, which we will also be discussing later on. So Project Search, St. Ambrose Project Search. What is it? So in a nutshell, Project Search is a work immersion transition program where we're seeking meaningful employment for our students that have an intellectual or a developmental disability. Go to the next slide, thank you. These students attend school for 1 calendar school year. We can take students anywhere from about 6 to 10 students with a variety of that intellectual and developmental disability. There is a certified teacher there that is on campus instructing the students in different pre-employment transition skills needed. They meet daily with that instructor. And then we also have a skill trainer over there, which we refer to as a job coach, that's going out and job coaching these students. They're fully immersed in the St. Ambrose culture. We place them in 3 rotations, 3 10-week rotations, where they are unpaid internships, and they're continually getting that coaching. They're getting feedback from the instructor and also from the mentor that's assigned to them at their place of internship. Our whole goal is that we want to seek competitive employment for our students in the community, working at least 16 hours a week, making at least minimum wage. These are just some of the examples of the internship sites where we have placed students. I'm not going to read this list, but if you want to just take a minute to glance at it. And those are some of the jobs that they do at each internship site. So we're trying to get marketable, transferable skills that they can go and take on to them at another job site. Okay, next slide.
Project Search is designed to have a community support the individual with a disability. So we have a lot of partners that participate in Project Search. The first one is Davenport Community Schools. They provide the instructor for the program that helps with travel training, setting up the internships at St. Ambrose University, providing the instruction for those students, and working with our Business Advisory Council, which we'll talk about, and also helping those students obtain competitive employment after completing Project Search. St. Ambrose is our business partner. They provide in-kind funding. They provide us a classroom, as well as help us set up the departments that will do internships with our students, and each department provides a mentor that works with those students. The families are a huge part in working in this Project Search. Oh yeah, if you don't mind going back one, that's okay. The families participate in 3 different family involvement nights where we do presentations and help them with figuring out SSI benefits, health benefits, supportive community living supports after they graduate, as well as the process of supportive employment and job development. The Mississippi Bend AEA provides a transition specialist and a family coordinator to help support them in supporting the families and making sure they have all the transition services set up for after high school graduation, as well as planning family involvement nights for the young person with a disability and the families. The Business Advisory Committee is put together by the entire steering committee, where we talk to local businesses to participate in our advisory committee to help direct us in what would be good transferable skills to be teaching students while they're in Project Search, as well as they participate in mock interviews with our individuals that are at Project Search, and hopefully are also participants in hiring our individuals after the completion of Project Search. Michelle's Vocational Placement is our supportive employment provider. They provide the job coach that is on site at St. Ambrose and works with our students in helping them learn their internship sites and providing the skill building that they need, as well as they are the primary source of helping us find jobs for these students after graduation. And then Iowa Vocational Rehabilitation helps provide the funding for the job coach through Michelle's Vocational Placement. They purchase all the uniforms and clothing the students need at Project Search, that students are required to wear the same type of clothing, whether it's a uniform, business dress, or whatever it might be, as their department and the internship they're in. And they provide the long-term funding for our individuals that completed Project Search and helping them get jobs after high school, and if they need continued support on that job. Project Search is collaboratively funded, so the district uses weighted dollars for students that enroll in Project Search. The host business, St. Ambrose, provides in-kind funding, allowing us to have internships in the classroom on their campus. Iowa Vocational Rehab provides the funding for our job coach, which is a skills trainer on site during this time, and job development afterwards. And then we partner with long-term funding, which would be State of Iowa waiver supports, to help continue support the individual after they graduate so they have continued success in job placement.
So our outcomes for 2021, outcomes last year, I'm happy to announce that all of our students have been hired and are currently working at the following businesses in the community. We have one student working at Dunkin' Donuts, Quality Inn, Raising Cane's, Hy-Vee, Rudy's Tacos, St. Ambrose Children Campus, and at Walmart. So we're very happy to have all of our students employed and working.
That's awesome.
Our last program we want to highlight is called Access. Access is a partnership program between Eastern Iowa Community College, local school district and the Mississippi Bend AEA. This helps support students that are on an IEP that want to go on to post-secondary education but need a little more support in making that transition. Students that enroll in Access have to be on an IEP, and it's an IEP team decision if this program would be appropriate for them and they're ready to enter it. Students have to have a defined career goal and have completed the high school courses related to that career goal. So for instance, if someone's interested in going in culinary arts, we would have had them, we've been planning for this transition for 4 years, and they would have taken all the culinary arts type of classes that are offered in their high school. They must be able to perform the essential skills of that coursework that they're going into with reasonable accommodations at the secondary level, post-secondary level. In Access, a student returns in the fall, but they don't return back to the high school campus. They attend the campus of Eastern Iowa Community College, which could be any of their campuses between Muscatine, Clinton, Scott, the Belong Center, or Urban, depending on where their program is at. They meet regularly with the Access specialist, depending on what their needs are. They have an IEP goal that typically sometimes focuses more on self-advocacy, self-determination, or another area that the team has determined essential in helping them be successful at the post-secondary level. They also get assistance with time management, organization, navigating the college, learning how to speak about their disability to their instructors, how to request accommodations, how to use a testing center, find tutors, whatever they need in order to be successful. The idea of Access is that the Access coordinator, by the end of that academic year, has worked themselves out of the job, that the student is able to navigate the college on their own and be successful in their classes and requesting their own accommodations and speaking to their professors about their disability. Access is funded through weighted dollars. A student that's on an IEP returns for a 4+ year and is counted as a student again. That money is then used to pay for Access. It covers their tuition, their books, and the service that is provided by the Access coordinator. Thank you for supporting all these programs. We've seen great success in the students that have enrolled in them. We can open it for questions.
Open it for questions.
Thank you for your presentation. Is there any questions from the board? Director Klein-Jerome?
As a board, we attended the St. Ambrose Project search graduation last spring. We were very impressed by the students and that they had jobs by the time they graduated. What would it take to expand the program to include a few more, or is it pretty much maxed out where Ambrose can't do anymore? Or it seemed like a great program.
It is a great program. Currently, I mean, each year we have students that apply for the program, and we look at the needs of the students that apply. They go through an application process. We have an interview skills assessment day where they come in and they actually do different skills assessment, which we score them based on a rubric. And we're looking for students that kind of fall in that middle of the rubric, because we're looking for the right kind of students that are going to actually benefit from the program. So far, we can probably accommodate around 8 students at Project Search. If we ever got any more, yes, we would need to look at maybe adding an additional site that could accommodate larger number of students there. Yes.
Director Beck?
Yeah, I second Director Klein-Jerome's statement. We all were super impressed with Project Search. It was such a great experience to see. So that kind of leads into one of my questions was, what are the possibilities? I'm guessing that there are probably other institutions or companies in the area that would be willing to participate in something like this. It's still pretty new. This is going to be our 5th year within Project Search. When we were looking to recruit businesses, there was some that we did meet with, but it wasn't the right timing for their company at that time. They were rebranding, rebuilding from within, so they weren't ready to put on this program. Okay. But it is definitely something we've looked at exploring and branching out, and maybe possibly even making some internship sites at another business that could possibly take on those students as well.
I'd also like to add, building transition plans is really a 4-year process. So when we started Project Search, we were looking at those seniors and, throwing this brand new idea to parents that they wouldn't graduate, we're going to do this. So I think as the years come in, we can start having the conversation about Project Search as they come in as freshmen or even 8th graders and start building that, we'll see our numbers increase. And I think at that point, we'd also then start looking at businesses that had more internship sites available for students and expanding it then.
Okay. And that actually leads into my second question, sorry. With regarding the access program, so as a college instructor, I think this is fantastic. I would love to see more programs like this for everyone who wants to go to college. But I guess my question was, you mentioned that students have to take a certain number of courses before they can go on to the program at EICC. Is that correct?
What we encourage, and it is an IEP team decision, but what we encourage is when they're enrolling in, when we're looking at access applicants, is that they have explored the career they're going into, and we know that they have the skills and the desire to do that job and are really interested in it. We also don't want to pay for courses at the community college level that are being offered already at the Davenport School District. So we want to make sure that we're being conscious of that. So we really encourage again, that early planning starting freshman year, helping them look at careers and what they want to do, and taking what's available at the high school to really dig in deep to make sure we're moving into the right career and using that money wisely. Okay. So we don't have a requirement of how many courses, but just that they've done some exploration. We also look at that they've done some work experience and job shadows in those areas.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense because I know when I was in 9th grade, knowing what you want to do is not really necessarily what you want to do. Yeah.
And that's why transitions are started at age 14 in Iowa. Is when we start
Okay.
developing the transition plans.
Okay, cool. And then my last question, the Project Search, you mentioned it's 1 school year, but it's the school year after they would have graduated from high school, correct?
Yes, so they have met all their graduation requirements. However, they do not end up graduating. We withhold their diploma until the following year because they remain on an IEP.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
We have had some students who maybe have completed their 4-year credit requirement, but then may go back to Davenport School for a transition program with in-house to continue working on skills, and then maybe reapply for the Project Search program that following year, depending on when they age out at 21.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to be that immediate year as long as they remained on IEP services.
Okay, thank you so much.
Director Poston?
How many students are involved in the access program?
This year, we currently have 2 students attending that access program. I want to say last year, did we have 3? We had 3 students enrolled last year in the program.
And how many are you capable or feel that you could handle in that program?
The access program serves the entire AEA 9. We do not limit it. We hire staff as needed as we can support that. We currently, in the access program altogether, between all AEA 9, have 27 students we're working with.
Director Potts, do you have anything? Is Director Ghost on the line?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Do you have any questions?
I just want to thank you. That was a great presentation, and like Director Kleindroman said about the graduation, that was a great experience for us. For myself, I think myself and Superintendent Schneckloff had talked about maybe touring this program sometime, so I'd like to try to set something up on that. But keep up the great work. This is a great program, and thank you for presenting it to us.
I do have some brochures for you. Oh, we already passed them out to you. All right, thank you.
And thank you so much for your time, a great presentation. Any board reports?
You got one.
Director Poston?
Yes, Saturday night, I was able to attend the West High Athletic Boosters fundraiser. And just a shout out to the athletic boosters. They go to a lot of work to support our student athletes, just like it's done at all of our high schools. The fundraiser was quite a success. I would encourage you, I'm going to take advantage of this large crowd we have tonight, which is usually not the norm. Anytime that you can get involved with your athletic boosters, band boosters, PTA, get involved. We need the parent involvement, and we need the support of our kids. So make sure you take advantage of that and support our athletes. And just a footnote. There was a live auction and a silent auction at the boosters activity, and Superintendent Snakecloth your donated item brought $300. So appreciate that, and again, get involved and support our student athletes, support our bands, orchestras with all the fundraisers that they put on. Thank you.
So now, open forum. Open forum is the time for members of the community to give input at a board meeting regarding school district issues or concerns. Individuals who want to speak, please fill out an open forum request and give it to the board secretary prior to open forum. The form is available in hard copy for in-person attendees or on the school board page or the district's web page for those who want to participate virtually. Virtual participants must email their request to Brenda T. at tbrin@davenportschools.org by 3 p.m. on the day of the board meeting. The board will act on any issues presented during open forum. If it is not published as an agenda item, Iowa Open Meetings Law prohibits actions on issues that is not on the agenda. The president may set the amount of time allowed for individuals to speak. The board asks that no charges or complaints be made against individual employees of the district or community. Remarks that reflect negativity on the character or motives of any person will be called out of order. To participate virtually, please call 563-445-5001 and enter the conference ID code number 2006783. I have 17 open forums here, and you will be given 2 minutes. Director Beck is the timekeeper for this. So after 2 minutes, then your time will be up. The first one will be Mr. Mason Strobin. And when you come to the microphone, please provide your name and address.
Hi, I'm Mason Strobing. Do I begin? I came here to talk about the mask mandate. My opinion on the mask mandate is that it's your choice, not anybody else's choice to say what they put on your body. I mean, my sister's going to school. She's wearing her mask. I support her. My family supports her. I'm refusing to wear a mask. My family supports me, and my sister supports me. When I'm wearing the mask, I get headaches, I have trouble breathing, I get anxiety, and I start to sweat a lot, and it's just not a fun time. And in the UDHR, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, it states that you can't refuse anyone education, but me refusing to wear a mask and you forcing me to go home or doing online school, in my opinion, is not proper education. And think back to when you guys were 10. You guys got to go to school. You guys got to hang out with your friends. You guys got to have fun. Now that I'm 10, I have to come up here today and fight for my right to go to school, to hang out with my friends and have a good time. Thank you for letting me come and speak today.
Our next open forum will come from Amanda Reinert.
are we allowed to have people allot their time to us? No?
Nope.
All right, shortened version it is. My name is Amanda Reiner. I live at 320 Valley Ridge Road, Bluegrass, Iowa. I want to start by saying that I am in no way anti-mask or anti-vaccine. I am simply anti-mandate. I am pro-freedom. It has never been stated that you cannot send your child to school in a mask if it makes you feel better. The governor's law simply gave each family the right to choose what was best for their unique child. I took the time to read every page, every single word of your book of policies and administrative regulations. And here I have a copy of specific active codes with highlighted sections, which I feel blatantly contradict the enforcement of this mask mandate and how it has been handled. As of this morning, according to the district website, 1.83% of individuals have tested positive for COVID since the start of the school year. Does this number correlate to a need for a mask mandate? Not by most standards. I know many families have felt completely ignored by this board over the last week. Out of curiosity, and after being told that just as many, if not more people, want the mask mandate by a member of the school board, I thought it might be a good idea to go through the replies to the survey that the district released. I have read every single submission and tallied the votes. I had 3 categories: for, against, and neutral. The neutral column is where I placed the replies that said they didn't care either way, or the ones that just flat out didn't make sense to the point that I couldn't tell which way they were leaning. The total of number of submissions was 3,576. 1,726 people were for mask mandating. 1,773 were against mandating masks. 77 were neutral. I also included the many cases of multiple submissions by one individual. Most of those went to the for column. There were also countless replies that stated things like, I want my child to wear a mask, or please allow masks. Those also went into the for column, even though it can be argued that your child can wear a mask and masks are allowed. Those things don't mean it needs to be mandated. By implementing this mandate, you are going against the wishes of the majority of this district. I feel this survey was unnecessary. If you wanted to know the opinion of the families of this district, all you had to do was go into a school or call your administrators and ask them if the majority of students were wearing masks before it was mandated. Another consideration should have absolutely been that when the parents of this district enrolled their students for this school year, they did so knowing that masks would be optional and that virtual learning was an option if they were afraid.
Thank you, Ms. Reinhardt. Michael Guster.
Good evening. My name is Mike Guster. I'm a veteran.
Your address?
And also, I have been to Iraq. I've been to Afghanistan.
Your address? Mike, your address?
115 Colony Drive, Davenport, Iowa.
Thank you.
I'm also the president of the Davenport NAACP. The Davenport NAACP strongly supports the school board's decision to minimize the risk to children by mandating mask wearing by all students while in school. This decision protects our most vulnerable students and provides for the continual education of every student. Masking does not offer some protection to the student that's wearing the mask, but here is the reality. Masks are really effective because they reduce the likelihood of children with asymptomatic infections spreading the disease to others. If we want to keep in-person learning, it will require us, parents, grandparents, and school administrators, faculty, to remain vigilant and continue to mandate to ensure the safety of our kids. We must remember that masking has nothing to do with politics, but it has everything to do with public health and safety. Yeah. I gave you a chance to talk. I didn't interrupt you. So let me speak. Lastly, I sure don't want to be the person in this community to
Time.
bear responsibility.
Time's up. Time's up. The 2 minutes have
Thank
passed.
you very much. God bless you.
Thank you. The next one will be Teresa, and forgive me, Grugelmeyer? Gugelmeyer?
I am Teresa Gogelmeyer. I live at
And your address, please, Ms. Gugelmeyer.
I live at 1756 West 54th Street, Davenport, Iowa. I have done countless research since the meeting on Thursday that you put this mandate into place. I've done research and read every forum I could find. And I know and I watched the video of that Thursday meeting. And most of you were against this mandate until a person came in saying that they would sue you if you didn't put this mandate in place. And I have looked at countless scientific formats saying that this piece of fabric right here that's sitting on my chin doesn't stop the particles from coming out your mouth that having a mask off would. And then Dr. Fauci even says that masks don't stop anything, and he is one of the directors of the CDC. May was when Governor Reynolds said that schools cannot put in mandates, and that was a ban made by law that was voted on and passed by legislative voted into the state of Iowa's legislation. A federal judge blocked that ban on mandates.
2 minutes, Ms. Grugelmeyer.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Tara Pratt.
My name is Dr. Tara Pratt. I'm a local chiropractor and functional medicine practitioner in Bettendorf, Iowa. I did not have anything prepared because I was going to concede my time to Amber because she had things prepared, which I completely support. What I'm seeing in my office is secondary infections from the masks and the emotional kickback from having to have these face diapers on, anxiety, headaches. I'm treating migraine headaches in students all day, every day. The lactic acid buildup that's in the muscles because these kids can't breathe. They need oxygen. We have not taken away the rights of the other students who want to wear the mask or have health conditions. I treat a lot of immune compromised people. I will put my mask on in my office for those people. I understand that they're scared and whatnot. They still have the right to wear their mask and work on their immune system. We need to be outside getting sunshine. We need to be breathing oxygen, not our own waste, air waste. We need to be taking vitamin C, eating good, healthy food. These kids are all eating junk. I can see that's my time.
Joan Nerefelt.
Oops. My name is Joan Hersfeld. I live at 2822 Davenport Avenue. And I no longer have any children at Davenport Public Schools, but I feel that it is important to get involved in what is happening in our school district because the level of quality of schools defines the level of quality of your community. So we should all still stay involved. And I did not have anything prepared either because I was going to also concede my time to Amanda so that she could give you very clearly the statistics that she spent a lot of time putting together for you to better understand your survey, and to prove to you that the majority of your constituents do not want their children to mandate the masks. If they want to wear them, they will wear them. If they don't want to wear them, they should not have to. That's all.
Hallie Westerkamp.
My name is Hallie Westerkamp. I live at 4955 West 39th Street, Davenport, Iowa. I was on the news last week stating that parents should have the freedom to choose. What they left out is why I believe we should have a choice. As a combat veteran, freedom is definitely important, but equally important is my 3 children's health. As a medic, I was trained in the proper use of PPE. This is a picture of the mop gear we had to wear in the Army to protect us from potential virus threats, so I have a very hard time believing these face masks are doing anything to protect our kids. The science is far from settled. If you take the time to actually read the studies supporting masks, there are statements like there's limited evidence for the effectiveness in preventing virus transmission, or we know that wearing a mask outside healthcare facilities offer little, if any, protection from infection. And proper use of face mask is essential because improper use might increase the risk of transmission. I guarantee you 99% of the children in our schools are not adhering to the proper guidelines when it comes to wearing PPE, thus most likely increasing the risk. I read news articles stating parents like myself are making unfounded claims or comments that I don't care about other people's lives. On the contrary, I was a medic and my job was to save lives. There are multiple studies that support our claims. This one states we not only found evidence in the reviewed mask literature of potential long-term effects, but also evidence of increase in direct short-term effects with increased mask wearing for carbon dioxide retention, drowsiness, headache, and feeling of exhaustion. The WHO even states potential disadvantages of mask use by healthy people and general public include headaches, breathing difficulties, skin lesion, difficulty with communicating. Dr. Gries from Germany states, there is no unfounded medical exemption from face masks because oxygen deprivation is dangerous for every single brain. It must be the free decision of every human being whether they want to wear a mask. That is absolutely ineffective to protect themselves from a virus. Personally, I believe the benefit does not outweigh the increased negative risk on our children wearing masks all day. Whenever there is risk, there should be freedom of choice. That choice should be up to the parents. Thank you.
Thank you. James Quinn. James Quinn.
Good evening. My name's James Quinn. I live at 3536 West 29th Street. I think you'll recognize this quote. At this time, it is important for parents and guardians to speak to their students about respecting other families' decisions surrounding their personal choice when it comes to mask wearing. My son got a good helping of your brand of respect. He's a sophomore at West. He also has allergies, a condition the school has known about for years, but he coughed in class one day and was immediately sent to the nurse, who gave him some homemade rag, obviously produced by a sewing circle somewhere. I'm not sure who we're contracting with for medical equipment, but come on. So he was given this rag and he was ordered to put it on, and he was isolated in another area until someone, myself, could pick him up. All this for allergies. This was 2 weeks before the restraining order was issued. respecting other families' decisions. But sadly, my son's story pales in light of what's going on in the schools today. Children are isolated, they're alienated, they're refused any kind of education, they're denied socialization, they're denied physical activity. They're threatened with withholding homecoming. They're threatened with being kicked off the team. This is not even to mention the countless children who will suffer permanent physical and psychological damage, all due to your decision to muzzle our kids.
Mr. Quinn, your time is up.
Mr. Quinn.
Mr. Quinn.
You have accomplished only one thing
Mr. Quinn, your
in this
time is up,
rash,
sir.
uninformed power play. By forcing
Your
masks
time
on our
is up,
children,
sir.
you have taken the mask off your face, and we're...
Mr. Quinn, your time is
Mr.
up.
Quinn, your time is up. Brandon Shack. Brandon?
Let's go, coach.
Brandon Schatt. I live at 1843 Zachary Avenue, Bluegrass, Iowa. Resiliency, by definition, is the ability to withstand adversity and bounce back from difficult life events. How many times in a year have you heard the statement, kids are resilient? Numerous, I bet. Being resilient is extremely difficult, and I'm so glad that most of our children are able to go through challenges and bounce back quickly. But my question to you is, how many times do our children have to be resilient before they break? I understand that we are all dredging through this uncharted territory with this pandemic, but at what point do we start to be more concerned with our children's emotional, social, and mental well-being? Last year, I sat back and watched, thinking to myself, it would soon end. My kids could go back to being kids. Sorry, I lost my spot. We are all here for the kids. All we want is for the board to step up and do the right thing. Our district and our children deserve better. They deserve a district that is top-notch, a district that will prioritize their educational, physical, and mental health over their own monetary desires. The mask concerns are what triggered me to look deeper into the district and the board and try to figure out why we are so far behind our counterparts. Sure, it would be easy for me to pull my kids out, send them elsewhere, but I am a Davenport alum, and I want nothing more than to bring my children up within this district. I want them to be shining light to others. But the more I dig, the more disgust that I have for the policies and procedures that have occurred and continue to occur on a daily basis. I have talked with staff members, teachers, principals, who have all told me that you all make the decision for them on a constant basis. Why is it that people who aren't in the classroom are the ones making the decisions? Why can't our teachers teach without being afraid of losing their jobs? Why do we have one of the biggest districts in the state, yet we lose a large portion of them to open enrollment? Why do our schools constantly have low testing scores and hapless sports programs? Being new to this, I obviously do not have all the answers, but I am bound and determined to try and figure out our solutions to the problems. I beg you to please do the same. Stop dictating and start listening. Ask the community for advice. Be in the buildings and talk with your teachers, who are the ones in the front lines, and ask what would be beneficial for them in our schools and our kids. Stop enforcing mandates that have zero scientific data and negative impact.
Thank you. Jacqueline Cook. Jacqueline Cook.
Hi, I'm Jacqueline Cook. I live at 11624 110th Avenue, Davenport, Iowa. For more than a week, I have tried to write something to say to you guys tonight out of anger. And it occurred to me that I need to see you guys the way God sees you, and He loves you. I would first like to address the comment made at the last meeting. Miss Beck, you said you wouldn't feel comfortable until the cases came down. Let's put the shoe on the other foot. Let's say this mandate was to prohibit all masking, and you would no longer be able to make that choice for yourself and your comfort level. My children have told me, just walking through a grocery store with a mask on, I feel like I'm suffocating. It's hot. I'm itchy. I'd raise the question, how is that providing the best possible learning experience when many children are uncomfortable or feel as if they cannot breathe? Someone on the board parroted the same line that has been used for the past 2 years in an attempt to discredit opposing opinions, saying things like, "We're not following the science." I'd like to add that there isn't enough oppositional science. You all voted in a way that you feel is best for my children. I'd like to ask, what are my children's names?
We need to tone it down. Dakota, I'm not sure what the last name is. Dakota? Dakota?
Hello, my name is Dakota Barnes. I'm not used to speaking and I didn't have anything written. I live on 1850 West 46th Street in Davenport, Iowa. I wanted to address that my kids get sores on their noses when they wear masks. They absolutely hate it. I have a first grader and a fourth grader. They get distracted. They don't pay attention. And it's basically what I wanted to say is the science behind it. Masks don't prevent COVID. If you have an N95 mask that is fitted for your face, that prevents it. You can get an N95 mask, put it on, and it won't prevent it. It has to be fitted for you. I've worked with patients that have had COVID with me just wearing the N95 mask. And I have gotten COVID before as well. I believe in natural immunity and all of that. So it's with the science behind it, with the cloth masks, they don't do anything. They don't prevent it whatsoever at all. It's the microns. They're too small. If someone coughs and they have a mask on, that's not going to prevent it. It's just going to go everywhere. The science doesn't back the mask. It hasn't. It even says it on the box. So that's all I really have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Miranda Lucas.
Good evening, everybody. I am here. I come as an advocate for parental choice and my children's right to a equal education. After my son developed severe eczema on his face and lips that would crack and bleed because of the masking, correlated directly, I tried creams, alternative masks, home remedies, and they all failed. I had to jump through hoops to get him a medical exemption for it, and for that, he missed a week of school. Given I had done my research and was more comfortable with my child contracting COVID than having to see him go through the pain of a bleeding face, that would not be comfortable for anybody. When this TRO was filed, everything went up in the air for our students. To mask, not to mask, homeschool, just not comply and see what happens. These are the last issues our students and staff should be worrying about. Every time a class takes a mask break, a teacher reminds a child to pull up the mask, or a teacher has to take the time to remove a child because they didn't wear a mask because their parents told them they had the choice. It takes away from class time, taking away from an equal education for all students. I asked with the TRO expiring today and no injunction for it to be extended that the Davenport Community School District will adapt Kim Reynolds' mask mandate ban once again and give parents, staff, and students their choice back. I also asked for this not to be a future issue due to masking not being a requirement becomes highly recommended by the CDC. Our schools are here to teach our children, not to enforce a decision that should be the parents or our students. Our staff, teachers already have enough on their plates with budget cuts and oversized classrooms and curriculum. Let's not add to this. Thank you.
Thank you. Travis Paulser.
Can you hear me? Hi, my name is Dennis Pauls. I live at 502 West 16th Street. I have nothing wrote down because when I try to write something down, it just comes out in anger. So I'm going to do it this way. Why is it that my kid can go shopping, go out to eat, can go to the movie theater, can do anything they want in the community, but go to school without a mask? Why is it that I can go to a music festival over the weekend with 30,000 people without a mask? But my kid has to go to school with a mask. She has asthma. She can't stand it. It causes her anxiety. I get calls from school constantly. Come get your child. Come get your child. What kind of education is that, guys? Seriously. Better question. How often do you wear your mask when you're not seen on public eyes? No answer? Then I'm done. Have a good night.
Just for the record, as President stated at the beginning, we're not allowed to respond. So those of you that are looking for a response, this is not a time for us to respond. So thank you for understanding that.
Vanessa Flanagan. Vanessa Flanagan.
Can't you talk to us outside the forum? People, what's done, you're not on the talk back.
I mean, like, look at this. Vanessa Flanagan, 1234 Main Street, Walcott. Another thing I feel that is needed to be pointed out is the fact that the board did not do its due diligence in formulating a plan for this mask mandate. Before this decision was ever implemented, there should have been a plan on how to handle any pushback, which, if you read the submission results, you would have foreseen. There should have been clear-cut consequences standard across the district for the kids who did not comply. Instead, every school handled it differently, and in many cases, this resulted in students being mistreated. There should have been some sort of plan for when this mandate was reevaluated. What numbers are you looking for to see before we can do away with the mask mandate? Cedar Falls, Waterloo preschool through 5s just lifted their mask mandate after a week. The districts have decided to evaluate the needs for masks based on individual school basis. They plan to implement a temporary 5-day mask mandate at any elementary building where there's over 3% of students, teachers, or staff either positive or in quarantine due to COVID. There are also leaving masks as a recommendation only at the intermediate and high school levels because of the vaccine. That is, as a plan makes sense, based that they need mask mandate on the transmission rates within the school or the event or even the district, instead of the county or even the country as a whole. Your plan or lack thereof does not make any sense. In my opinion, there was no evaluation plan in place because this decision was not based on the numbers, it was based on the fear of litigation. Your plan to avoid one lawsuit has only opened up the district to the possibility of many more. There has also been a great deal of miscommunication coming from the board and the district. First, it was stated that it would not be a suspensionable offense. You seem to have found a loophole in that. I would like to refer to you to your own definition of an in-school suspension as stated in your book of policies and administrative regulations. Next, it was stated in an email to a parent that in regards to religious exemptions, that you could get it from the building principal. Now the president of the board is saying he misspoke. Our superintendent is on video saying that the kids who do not comply would be given an excused absence. Now he's stating that he misspoke.
Your time is up.
You guys should be held accountable.
Travis Paulser, I don't think you came up. Mm-hmm.
My name is Travis Paulson. I live 1900 blocks, West 75th Place, Davenport. My name is Travis Paulson. I live 1900 West 75th Place, Davenport, northwest end of town. In response to the message regarding the mask mandate, I am very confused. You guys are a board of education, not a health department. However, it seems as you have decided to go beyond the Department of Health recommendations and mandate the placement of a medical device on our children. As stated by the FDA, the use of a mask other than N95 has not been proven for antiviral protection. And as a matter of fact, it says on the box, it does not prevent the spread of disease or illness. By placing this on our children, you are applying what's considered a medical device. And if you're going to act in that capacity, you are required to obtain informed consent. According to the FDA, informed consent means that you need to provide the understanding and nature of or procedure of a device, understand the risk and benefits, offer reasonable alternatives. For the record, the current program that you're offering for online learning is not a viable option. It states just as much in the lawsuit that you guys are currently in litigation of. It also states that you need to provide the understanding and risk benefits of all these alternatives. It also states that consent cannot be obtained under coercion, meaning new undue influence, punishment, or reward. In my registration packet that I filled out for my 2 children, one of whom is special needs and has difficulty breathing, which you're suffocating my special needs child, thank you. I did not see any paperwork that provided me with the benefits, the risk of, or the side effects of children wearing a mask for 7 to 8 hours a day. I did not see an offer of other options, nor did I see anything asking for my permission for you to apply a medical device. No information has been provided since that time. Not only that, but I am pretty sure that saying that a child will not be able to attend in-person school and receive a free, appropriate, and personal education is a form of coercion. Is that my time, or do I still have some left?
Mr. Paulson, your time is up.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you all for your comments. May I have a motion for the consent agenda?
Madam Vice President,
Director Beck,
I move that the board approve the consent agenda as written.
is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Call for the vote. Director Beck,
Yes.
Director Poston,
Yes.
Director Klein-Jerome,
Yes.
Director Potts,
Yes.
Director Snyder is not online. Director Gosa,
Yes.
and my vote is yes. Motion passed. May I have approval of bills? A motion for the approval of bills?
Madam Chairwoman,
Director Poston,
resolved all claims presented to the board having been duly certified as correct by the treasurer, reviewed by the administration and board members, and they are hereby audited and allowed as just claims and warrants drawn on the treasury for the several amounts. Further resolve, the payment of claims and salaries be approved as presented for the periods of 9/8/21 to 9/21/21 with the following voided checks. Number 14618 for incorrect amount and number 374891 for wrong vendor.
may I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? I call for the vote. Director Poston,
Yes.
Director Beck,
Yes.
Director Klein-Jerome,
Yes.
Director Potts,
Yes.
Director Gosa,
Yes.
and my vote is yes. Motion passed. We're going to have to back up here to the open forum here. Looks like 2 individuals were missed, Tara Fry and Mike Siebert.
Tara's up first.
Tara,
My name's Tara Fry. I live at 3020 Wisconsin Avenue. You, the school board, have decided that our children should go to school every day wearing muzzles on their face like rabid dogs. Statistically, COVID-19 poses almost no risk to our kids at all. Here's some actual facts for you guys, since you decided to muzzle our kids without even basing anything on facts. A little over 4.2 million children have tested positive for COVID-19 since the pandemic began. A total of 0.008% of those 4.2 million children have died. And most of those had pre-existing conditions. So I ask you this, what about the flu? The flu, that didn't exist this year because of COVID. Seriously, what about the flu? The CDC estimates that 480 kids died from the flu in the 2018-2019 season. That means more children died during the flu season of 2018-2019 than have died from COVID in over a year and a half. Now, did anyone on this school board suggest at any time that year that kids wear masks to school? Did anyone in this room suggest that anyone wear a mask for the flu? Which again, is statistically proven to be way more dangerous to our kids than COVID-19. It's a fact, look it up, I did. Do you know what it's called when you force your kids to wear a mask all day for a fear of a virus that poses almost no threat to them? It's called child abuse. Do any of you actually know the sort of psychological damage we're doing to these kids by forcing them to cover their faces, teaching them that the air is contaminated and that everyone around them is sick? To deprive them the ability to see each other's smiles? What kind of damage does that do? Have you even thought about it? Really thought about it? Have you wondered about the health effects that are occurring by forcing our kids to breathe through these sweat and spit-soaked rags every single day? Are you sure that there are no health risks? Do you know that the effect is on children developmentally if they're not able to see each other's faces? What about kindergartners, first graders that are learning how to read so hard and they can't see their teacher's mouth enunciating the words? What about kids that are hard of hearing or deaf? What happens to a child physically and mentally when you force them to wear a mask all day? We don't know the answer to that. We don't. But you people are okay with placing this unnecessary burden on them anyway. And why? It's
Ms.
not to
Fry,
keep them
your
safe.
time is up.
It's not to keep
Ms.
them
Fry,
safe.
your
They can all
time
get
is up.
vaccinated if they want to. This
Ms.
isn't
Fry,
about safety.
your time
this
is
is about
up.
control and money.
her
And we
time
all
is
know
up.
why you're doing this. You're doing it to make
Ms.
yourselves
Fry,
look
your
better.
time is up.
And you should all be ashamed of yourselves. Thank you for your time.
Mike Siebert.
So it's about the science, right? Not one of you been up here to disinfect this between parents and speakers. Secondary. Did you guys really read this?
Mr. Siebert, could we please get your name and
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. 933 South Michigan Avenue. Mike
Thank
Siebert,
you.
same guy, yeah. Anyway, 1,000 pages. 1,000. Did you guys even pay attention to half of these comments before you voted? Don't shake your head. Yes, you know you didn't. No, because we wouldn't be here if that was the case. We wouldn't be here if that was the case. I'll tell you something else we wouldn't be here for either. Or at least I wouldn't be speaking. This supposedly is on your website. It's a medical exemption form for face masks. Conveniently, when I clicked it, page not found. So I went to the principal on Wednesday, who had no problem handing it to me. But there is one problem. Why are you colluding with Genesis Medical Center not to get these things signed? My son has, through your formula, through the Iowa Department of Education, handsomely paid, probably for your new salaries over their cabinet. And yet you're going to tell me that his autism went away overnight? Because here's the fact, guys. My little boy helped to pay for your cabinet, pay for your desk, pay for these since he was in first grade. And yet you denied him the ability to have an in-person appropriate education that I know my tax dollars and all these other tax dollars are provided for. And to go on record, none of you will speak. None of you. It's appalling. This is for our kids and our futures. One day they will be taking your seats. And keep it up, somebody else here, they'll be taking them sooner than later.
Thank you all for your comments. The Superintendent Report. Superintendent Sneckloff.
Thank you. We went to, President Goes and myself, traveled to Des Moines, and we presented the update that we presented to the school board, and the reaction was very favorable from the state school board. we are heading in the right direction in the areas of the Davenport plan. And so the overall report is one of positivity to share with the board today. Thank you.
President Gosa, did you have anything to add to that?
I think Superintendent Schneckloff hit the nail on the head. It was a good meeting with them. They liked the fact that it was our plan and we've taken ownership of it and that we're going to continue with it. And again, to echo what he said, we're going in the right direction. We're doing the things we need to be doing, and getting all that stuff taken care of. So, again, it was a great meeting, and that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Are there any committee reports? Director Poston?
Finance Committee met last Wednesday, and Kevin, did you have something to present?
I will at a action item down further, so we'll hold on that until we get to that.
All right, and I've got some comments and some concerns as a member of the Finance Committee, and I'll wait until later on and have those comments then.
Is there any additional committee reports?
The policy committee meets next week, and LCAC has not met.
Okay, thank you. We'll now move on to our items.
Madam Vice President,
President Ghost, I'm sorry.
I do have legislative advocacy. Myself and Superintendent Schneckloff, we went to the Bluegrass City Council meeting on Monday night and gave a state of the district and kind of had some good dialogue with them. And then Wednesday night we went to the city of Davenport meeting as well, and the same thing, gave the state of the district and kind of put out that we would like to start working with them and continue our collaborative efforts with the city. And I'm trying to remember the schedule, but I know we're going to get out to Buffalo and Walcott as well. We're trying to get with all the municipalities where we have jurisdiction in. So, and I don't know if Superintendent Schneckloff has anything he wanted to add to that.
It was a very positive interaction at both of those places. We learned quite a bit from being in the Bluegrass City Council meeting and interacting with them, and it was very beneficial. We also made some connections with our long-range facility planning. So our long-range facility planning committee has already reached out to the city clerk there to ensure that we have all of the data coming forward there. So the purpose and intent to make stronger connections with all of our cities that represent Davenport Community Schools, there were some positive outcomes for it. Look forward to doing it in the future.
Okay, thank you for that addition. Anyone else have anything more to add? Okay, now we'll move on to our items requiring action. First one is 10.01. The bid award for Williams. May I have a motion?
Madam Vice President,
Director Beck?
I move the board approve the lowest responsive bid of Bill Bruce Builders Incorporated in the amount of $147,000.
Second.
Seconded by Director Poston. Any discussion? We'll call for the vote. Director Beck?
Yes.
Director Poston?
Yes.
President Gosa?
Yes.
Director Klein-Drone?
Yes.
Director Potts?
Yes.
My vote is yes. Motion passed. Next one, 10.02, bid award to West Kimberly Complex. May I have a motion?
Madam Chairwoman,
Director Poston?
recommend the board approve the lowest responsive bid of Geese Roofing Company in the amount of $95,890.
May I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Poston, second by Director Klein-Jerome. Is there any discussion? Director Beck?
I meant to say this before, but I just wanted to remind everyone that we did discuss these at a prior meeting. And so we've had our questions addressed and answered prior to this.
Any additional discussion? We'll call for the vote. Director Poston?
Yes.
Director Klein Jerome?
Yes.
Director Beck?
Yes.
President Gosa?
Yes.
Director Potts?
Yes.
And my vote is yes. Motion passed. We'll move to item number 10.03, bid award for McKinley. May I have a motion?
Madam Vice President,
Director Beck?
I move the board approve the lowest responsive bid of Reed Construction LLC in the amount of $84,000.
Thank you. Second by Director Potts. Any discussion?
Madam Chairwoman,
Director Poston?
Superintendent Snakeloff, this is concerning the fire. Okay. Was there anybody brought to task on this as far as any what I want to say, as far as getting money back from student or whoever started the fire?
Right now, they're going through the process, and so that's something I can check on. I continue to check on that one, and it's moving along, but I do not believe at this point there has been.
So people have been identified as far as starting the fire?
Yes.
Okay. And so we will act aggressively as far as getting money from those people to cover this. I know insurance is going to cover it, but are we going to get something else?
I can continue to follow up on that. Right now, it's going through the legal process right now.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any additional discussion? President Gosa?
I don't have anything.
Okay, we'll call for the vote. Director Beck?
Yes.
Director Potts?
Yes.
President Gosa?
Yes.
Director Klein Jerome?
Yes.
Director Poston?
Yes.
And my vote is yes. Motion passed. Item number 10.04, the bid award for Adams. May I have a motion?
Madam Chairwoman,
Director Poston?
recommend the board approve the lowest responsive bid of Bi-State Masonry Incorporated in the amount of $224,892.
May I get a second?
Second.
Motion by Director Poston, second by Director Klein Jerome. Is there any discussion? Director Gosa?
I don't have anything.
Seeing as none, we'll call for the vote. Director Poston?
Yes.
Director Klein Jerome?
Yes.
Director Beck?
Yes.
President Gosa?
Yes.
Director Potts?
Yes.
My vote is yes. Motion passed. 10.05, Fortinet renewal contract. May I have a motion?
Madam Vice President,
Director Beck?
I move the board approve the Fortinet annual renewal at a cost of $78,410.
Have a second?
Second.
Moved by Director Beck, second by Director Klein Jerome. Is there any discussion? Call for the vote. Director Beck?
Yes.
Director Klein Jerome?
Yes.
Director Gosa?
Yes.
Director Poston?
Yes.
Director Potts?
Yes.
And my vote is yes. Motion passed. 10.06, the tag contract. May I have a motion?
Madam Vice President,
Director Potts?
I move the board renew the agreement with TAG Communications to provide all communications and community engagement services on behalf of the district for 24 months at $12,575 a month or $150,900 annually.
May I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Second by Director Klein Jerome. Is there any discussion? Seeing as none, I'll call for the vote. Director Potts?
Yes.
Director Klein Jerome?
Yes.
Director Beck?
Yes.
President Gosa?
Yes.
Director Poston?
Yes.
My vote is yes, and the motion passed. 10.07, to purchase trucks for maintenance. May I have a motion?
Madam Chairwoman,
Director Poston?
recommend the board approve the purchase of 2 maintenance trucks from Courtesy Ford in the amount of $38,811 each per the bid received.
Second.
Thank you, President Gosa. Any discussion on this? Seeing as none, we'll call for the vote. Director Poston?
Yes.
President Gosa?
Yes.
Director Beck?
Yes.
Director Klein-Jerome?
Yes.
Director Potts?
Yes.
And my vote is yes. Motion passed. 10.08, SBRC request regarding special ed and LEP deficits. May I have a motion?
Madam Vice President,
Director Beck?
I move the board approve our request to the School Budget Review Committee for modified supplemental assistance for the 2021 fiscal year special education deficit in the amount of $6,757,386.
Second.
Was that
Second.
Director Poston? Director Poston, thank you. Any discussion? Any discussion, President Gosa?
No, ma'am.
Okay, seeing as none, I'll call for the vote. Director Beck?
Yes.
Director Poston?
Yes.
President Gosa?
Yes.
Director Klein-Jerome?
Yes.
Director Potts?
Yes.
My vote is yes. Motion carried. 10.09, SBRC request regarding limited English proficiency deficit. May I have a motion?
Madam Vice President,
Director Beck?
I move the board approve our request to the School Budget Review Committee for modified supplemental assistance for the fiscal year 2021 limited English proficiency deficit in the amount of $1,544,442.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Director Beck, second by Director Potts. Is there any discussion? We'll call for the vote. Director Beck?
Yes.
Director Potts?
Yes.
President Gosa?
Yes.
Director Klein-Jerome?
Yes.
Director Poston?
Yes.
And my vote is yes. Motion carries. Discussion items 11.01. We'll turn that over to Superintendent Sneckloff.
Thank you. We're bringing forward the board a discussion item tonight for the utilization of a software program, Alex. And we have with us our math curriculum specialist, and he's going to come up to the podium and give us a brief description about what we have in front of us today. It's a program that we utilize inside of our district at multiple levels, and we feel it's very valuable. So if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and your role in the district and then describing Alex to us. Thank you very much, Mike.
Can you hear me okay? So my name is Mike Wells. I'm the pre-K-12 math curriculum specialist in the district. This is my 3rd year, and I'm here to talk to you about the utilization of Alex in the junior high. Last year, we began a program initiative, a pilot, you'd say, with using Alex for all of our junior high students in any math level, 7th and 8th grade. Through that pilot, we were able to see some good success, some good application of the program, and then to extend that to all of our students now. Last year, it was more of an opt-in through the pilot, through Title IV funding, to allow these students to use Alex every day. And so a little background about Alex. Alex is a commuter program that starts off with a setting of where you would be for the class. So it's very organized by which class you'd be in. And then from there, you take a pretest, for lack of better words there, and it figures out what's best for you in your path of learning. And so everything through the program after that can be based off of your path in ALEX. So it can be very individualized. Everyone at this table can be working on the same course, but working in a different place based on their results inside of the program. So the utilization inside of the junior high last year was it all started with the initial knowledge check, which is called the IKC, and then the students were allowed 15 minutes a day to continue to work on ALEX throughout the year for them to enhance their abilities in an individualized way. This year, we're going to look to continue the use of ALEX in the junior high. We had 4 of our 5 junior highs on board last year, and this year we'd like to have all 5 on board, and that's where this program is here. It's a 3-year program contract with McGraw-Hill to hopefully extend that into the next 3 years. Happy to answer any other questions there may be from this.
Director Beck?
Before we move on, Dr. Stevenson, is there anything you'd like to add to this? No? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Couple questions. I guess I am, I know that we use ST Math in the elementary school. Can you describe a little bit about how this is different or similar for an older age group, or what the difference is there?
Good question. Yeah, so ST Math is used in our K-6 buildings and programs. ST Math is basically a great resource. It's a curriculum that supports through visual learning, less words, no words, and all animation. And the students progress through, they could be assignments or through the journey, they call it, to then just approach the topics of the grade level. The difference between this and ALEX starts off with that IKC, the initial knowledge check, and then sets the path for the student to get to the course level of whatever course they're in. So we would have a course level for our Math 7, our accelerated students in Math Acceleration 7, our pre-algebra students, and our algebra students all through the 7th and 8th grade. So similar, but the ST Math is more, I'll call it game-like, whereas ALEX is more intuitive into what the student needs at this point, and gives them some resources in learning that and providing them resources and practicing that skill.
Okay, and so my follow-up to that, so basically it fits with the core instruction in that there's a pre-test for every student, and so if they are behind where the core instruction is, this will give them a chance to remediate, and then if they're ahead, this gives them a chance to work ahead, and then if they're right on, it just kind of goes along with its extra practice.
So this would be a supplement to the core. So it's not going to replace our core. It'd be definitely a supplement to this. But you actually explained that very well. If a student tests and they are behind where they should be for core, we'll call it, they will be given their path to continue to learn and progress through the learning process of that course. And then same thing with the acceleration. If a kid is testing out in we'll call it the 80th percentile, they'll get the rest of their course, and then they could even move into the next course if that's where we want to move them for that time. So yeah, it's once you've taken your initial knowledge check, it sets your path for what you need to learn, and each course has different domains inside of it. So geometry, measurement, data, all these things that we could then dig into to see what the kids need and what do they still know or what they don't know.
Thank you.
Director Poston?
Now this is coming from McGraw-Hill. How do you determine what source you're going to get this material from? Is there any bidding process involved with that?
So you're correct. This is a McGraw-Hill product. ALEX only is associated with McGraw-Hill. So Mr. Schneckloff said we do already use ALEX in some fashion. We actually have for our boost students, our students that need a little bit extra time in the system. They already utilize this program of ALEX, which is a contract that we already use for that situation. We're looking to scale this up, or continue to scale this up from there. So I just want to give that little background that we already contract with McGraw-Hill. McGraw-Hill is our product of math at this point for the junior high, but there is no bidding process for ALEX because it's only made by McGraw-Hill.
Okay, so this is a carryover from the previous year. Then, is this extending the contract?
So let me One of the things that our school board urges us to do is to pilot something before we roll something completely out. So what we asked Mr. Wells to do with a very stable funding source that is not general fund is to pilot, because we did have the holes that Mr. Wells is stating. And so this product has proven effective for us, and we would like to continue to move forward. Now, whether it was bid at the beginning, that part I don't know.
So I mean, just a follow-up question. So how do we know its value, its dollar amount? I mean, it's just whatever they're going to charge us, or.
I can speak for the curriculum piece of that. So we use many products like Alex in different content areas, whether it's literacy, math, science, students learning English. So we have a general idea of what companies like McGraw-Hill charge on a per pupil basis, a per school, per district, site licenses, 1 year, 3 year, 5 year. So with my experience and then the others in the curriculum department, we have a general idea of when we're getting a price that's within the parameters of what we would consider normal. And for those that come in high, that's when the negotiations would start, I think is what you're referring to, where we say, hey, this is, a grant, or this is categorical money that we only have this much of. We can only make this work then for this many kids or this school. And then that usually leads to a different price being offered. So we do that process, Director Poston, during this.
Thank you.
Director Kleinstrom?
If a student was really interested, you say it's 15 minutes during class time, could they do this at home to accelerate their learning?
Yes, this is internet-based, so they could do it anywhere they want. So we do see kids that get really excited and really enjoy this process. So they will take this and run with it. Well, they'll go and do an extra half an hour at home. But what we started off with last year was the bare minimum of 15 minutes a day to get the baseline for that. But yes, they could work beyond the 15 minutes a day if they would like.
Okay. And then my other concern, and this was a problem about 1.5 years ago, and I see this, subscription starts September 10th, and we are already past that date. We are not going to vote for this until October. So I would like to see in the future this come to the board prior to a start date.
That's a very good point. We'll make sure that that's put in the calendar to ensure that we're ahead of time. And it's very valid. And go ahead, Lisa. I think Lisa has another valid point to put.
Right. And then we had a changeover of personnel in August. I think that went into effect in the middle of August. So there was a little bit of a changing of the guard, so to speak, in that way of who was monitoring contracts and keeping things up in that way. So the companies that we work for are generally understanding of that, and they'll give us, a 30-day extension, or they'll wait for us to get board approval. So that won't happen next year.
It's a practice that we used to be a mainstay in the district, and we're slowly weeding it out, and this is another example of that. So it's happening less and less, but definitely this needs to be put in the April and May. Plus, the title program is a little difficult too, because sometimes your allocations don't come until school starts, but you're going to get a percentage of that, as I see our Title I federal program specialist person back there. So we do have to be cautious of that too, but we will get a certain percentage of our program. So it should be something that we can long-term budget for moving forward if the needs assessment determines that we want to continue with it. Heather, did you want to add anything to that? Will you introduce yourself as well, please?
Hi, I'm Heather Harlan, Budget Specialist for State and Federal Programs. TJ is correct in saying that we do have a bit of a lag time when it comes to our allocations for all federal programs. So, however, we have drafted a plan in order to keep this within the Title IV realm. So this is going to be a top priority as we see it going forward. And we're going to work really closely with Wells and Mr. Wells, on keeping those contracts within reason.
A good point. Director Klein-Rome.
Any additional questions? President Gosa?
No, I think all my colleagues asked the questions I had. Thank you.
Okay. And one question that I had here with the 1,750 subscriptions to it, that's on everyone's Chromebook, junior high, so they can have access to it at any time?
Yes, and they don't have to just use their Chromebooks because it's internet-based, but yes, everybody could access from their own Chromebooks for the
Okay.
junior high, 7th and 8th graders.
Okay, thank you so much for that presentation.
Well
Is
done.
there
Sorry.
anything that anyone else would need in order to give your opinion when we vote again? Director Potts?
This isn't the first time we've used Alex in the district, is it? I think we were using it several, 6, 7, 8 years ago.
At least, yeah.
Okay, and that was for special ed students?
So we currently still have a subscription with them, a contract with them, and it's a very much smaller one for our Boost students. And our Boost students are any students that are identified through our standardized testing, so fast testing, math testing, that show that they need a little more support. So they actually take a Boost course in addition to their, we'll say, Math 7 course. So they utilize Boost for Alex as well, or Alex for Boost, aside from the core content as well.
But there weren't as many site licenses or licenses available then, were there?
Yeah, I'm sorry, these are not site license, they're student license subscriptions, yeah.
The individual, but yeah, it was always individual licenses, but there wasn't the number then as appears to be.
Correct, yeah, we're scaling it up to
Okay.
get to that, to every student.
Okay, is there anything more? If there's something, please see Superintendent Snackloff so you can get clarification. So you're able to make a decision when this comes up for the vote.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Susan, it looks like for the next discussion item, we have some Iowa Vocational Rehab Services TAP contract amendment.
Yeah, so this is actually a continuing contract, but you heard Lynn Kelker and Michelle Weir present on our TAP program earlier today, which is the Transition Alliance Program, and that's what this contract is. It's our partnership with Iowa Voc Rehab Services, where they fund half of it and we fund half of it, and we provide Transition Alliance Program, God, I don't know what we call them now. I don't know what we, Jamie, do you remember what we call them now? The Transition Alliance Program?
TAP coordinators?
Yes, that work with our students with IEPs, and they can work with 504 students. We have them at each high school, and that's where they help them try to find jobs, do job shadowing. We work individually with the students to do career exploration. So that was that data that she showed earlier. We started this during the 1920 school year. We did the contract in November and hired our first person in February, and then of course shut down in March. And so we didn't get started very well in that year. So last year was our first year really implementing this program, and we had 3 individuals last year, and we are hoping to really get our momentum this year when we're back full time. Any questions?
Director Beck?
I think from the presentation, we saw that it's a useful program. It's a very big help to us. I do have sort of the same question that Director Klein-Jerome had about the other one, is that the original contract date was ending September 30th of this year, and we won't be able to vote on this until October.
Yeah. So we had actually planned for this to come to the last meeting, and I don't know what happened, so that you would have your discussion at the last meeting and vote on it at this meeting. I'm not sure what happened on that. we have a good contract with Voc Rehab, so they'll be understanding of that.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what the intention was, so.
Okay, so it's not going to be a problem for them. Okay.
Any additional questions or discussions? President Gosa?
No, Madam Vice President, I don't have any questions.
Okay. Okay, is there any additional information that you would need for a decision? Please see Superintendent Schneckloff or Susan for that information. Thank you, Susan. Director Beck, policy 11.03, policy. second
Yes.
discussion.
So this is our second discussion on policy 601.01, which is the school calendar. The reason this one is here by itself, as was last week, it's a mandatory policy, and so we want to make sure we are up to date with it. And it's basically pretty standard language. We just want to make sure we have the most up-to-date language. So if there are any questions, I'd be happy to entertain them. President Gosa?
I do not have any questions, Director Beck.
All right, then we will see this for approval at our next regular meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that presentation. Are there any board requests? Director Foster?
I guess I should have brought this up under the committee reports as far as our finance committee. I thought we were going to have a further discussion here. You weren't having Gary tonight on the meeting.
I do not believe Gary's with
I think he was ready for the agenda items, but he's since off the meeting.
I'm here.
Oh, he's here. There we go.
So why don't we move that to the administrative report? Does that sound okay?
Okay.
Because I think Gary can kind of explain the turnaround that the district's made financially, and if you can show us those figures, I would appreciate it, Gary.
Okay.
Did you want to do that? Did you have any board requests right now?
If there are no board requests, then we'll move to administrative reports.
So we have one administrative report tonight. Thank you for reminding us that Gary is on with us. So Kevin, I'll turn it over to you. We had well, before we do that, we had another outstanding finance committee meeting where we continue to dig deeper. The finalizing of our certified annual report and moving forward to looking at our line item budget, the process just keeps getting better, and I'm very proud of the committee that works there. Our structure is that we work with our internal finance team every week, and then once a month we review the finances with our finance team, with our board finance team, and then from there the board sees a review, which is exactly what's happening tonight. So Kevin, I'd like to turn it over to you, please. Thank you.
Yep. Gary, you can tag team with me with this, and I don't know if you can see what's being displayed here, but on the board is a history of our unspent authorized budget. The first thing I'm always going to say is remember our trend. Our trend's going in the right direction. That'll be on the bottom line. But before I do, the final two columns on the far right, this is where the second to last column is where we ended our 6/30/21 of our unspent balance. This is where the DE's been saying you need to do a workout plan. At the bottom of that page, you can see where it says, just above the percentage, where it says $22,000 and some change. We finished in the positive at the end of FY21. It was barely, but it was positive. For a $200 million budget, it was fortunate that we ended there. If you'll notice, before we go to the second column, the trend where we were negative 2%, negative 6.38, and we negative 6.59, and we started to turn around after that. You can see the trend is going in the right direction. All of the controls put into place are starting to show here, starting at FY21. That is point in time on June 30th. The two items that you approved tonight to go to SBRC will be heard in December. You'll see where there's 2 zeros, where it's SBRC modified supplemental amount for number 1 and supplemental amount. They both are zero in that column. Those expenditures are in the yellow box where it says expenditures. So when we ask for the supplemental amount, you'll see on the very last column where you see the two amounts that you approved tonight, the 1.5 million and the 6.7 million. What that does, that brings our unspent authorized budget back up to $8.3 million. The 630 is a point in time, but when they approve this in December, they will approve this, and that will get changed to $8.3 million. So kudos to the district and everyone that has gotten us to that point. Gary, you're up.
Well, I think that's great. I do think that the last column is where we will be all in, all done. Now, the two items that are listed up above, the 1,544,442. What that is overspending for English language learners. It's a little higher. I think last year we've got a couple things there. I think we were about 1.2 or 1.3. The law says that the SBRC may approve that number. Now, I would have no reason to think that they will not. The other number is 6,757,000. Now, our deficit really was over 7 million, but we had a $451,000 carryover from fiscal year 20. But the law says that the SBRC will approve the special ed deficit. I mean, obviously, the district has to, we've done that. We verified it. We've justified it. So in December, the district's unspent balance will be over 8 million. The reason, I want to go back to the 22,000. Now, that is lower, obviously, than last year. But I think there are three monumental things that happened in 21 that we need to talk about. One is that since 2015, the district has been taking insurance holidays, which means that the cost of insurance was being paid out of another fund, not general fund. In fiscal year 20, the district did that for 3 months, which was about $4.5 million. And this year, we did zero. We didn't use the insurance fund to offset any of the general fund cost. Had we chose to do that, that 22,000 would be 1,522,000 before we put in the special ed deficit or the English language learners. So I think that's a great step right there. It's best practice not to be using the insurance fund to manage the general fund balance. The second thing I think that we've done is the special ed deficit. If you there's $192 million that the district has spent. In that $192 million, there is about $7 million of overspending for special ed. Now, we're not going to talk about the special ed deficit necessarily, but that $7 million came from about $3 million from decreased revenue for the district and over 3.5 in increased cost. That's something that we talked to the finance committee about. We are working to try to come up with a plan to improve that. But that's the second thing that the district has done, is that in that positive 22,000, on the expenditure side, there's $7 million in deficit. We are going to ask the SBRC to put that on the authority side, up above the line that Kevin has highlighted, 6,757,000. So those are the two things. The third thing is how the district has chosen to use federal COVID ESSER dollars, but dollars related to the pandemic. And our position from the very beginning has been that we need to use COVID dollars to help students, to improve the gap, to do whatever that needs to be. That we would not use COVID to make the district look better or be better financially. Kevin actually came up with the best example. In fiscal year 20, we were out of school 71 days. In those 71 days, we continued to employ custodial and support staff. We could have transferred those payments to ESSER. We chose not to do that because when ESSER is gone, we still have to make those payments. So we could have made the district look better in the column without special ed deficit or English language learner, but we chose not to. All three of those, I think, demonstrate best practice, good practice by the district as we move forward. So I would say that all in, all done, we're going to be in excess of an $8 million positive balance. The district has not been at that level in over 10 years. And the great thing about it is we'll have a plan to continue to improve that over the next 5 years. Any questions? Kevin, anything to add there?
Yeah, the one thing I want to add that helps wrap this up a little bit is you'll see the percent of our unspent budget ratio is at 4.15%. You remember when we talk about key measures every month, that ideal would be between 5 and 15%. A district this size being at 10%, I think, Gary, that's one number that you threw out, and I agree with you, that 10% would be a target to say we're where we are, where we need to be without concern. That is the ideal soft spot.
Director Foster.
Gary, in our finance committee meeting, we talked about on the unspent authorized budget and your comment about from fiscal year 2019 to 2020, the turnaround from 12 million negative to 2 million positive. And would you just repeat some of your comments when you were talking about that?
I don't remember exactly, but when we went from a negative 12 million to a 2 million, that's great progress. Don't get me wrong. It's good progress. But 4.5 of that was use of the self-insurance, the early retirement dollars. Not early retirement, I'm sorry. The self-insurance fund. So had we not used that, we would have been negative about 2.5 million. In addition to that, really, when we certified and were done, we were going to be negative. But after we talked, we moved some ESSER dollars around that ended up making us positive 2 million. A lot of districts did it, nothing wrong with it. But again, I think that although we made improvements in 20, I think 21 shows greater strides, greater progress, the district using best practices. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, exactly. And, you know, I, as a finance committee person, along with Karen, and I think Karen would agree too, because we're here to serve the board. And I think we have to be cautious. I don't think we're out of the woods yet. We've got a lot of things staring us in the face. You know, open enrollment out will have a dramatic effect on money coming in. We need to right size our district. So until we get that done, it's still going to be a challenge to stay positive with this budget. So yes, I'm optimistic, but I don't want to be overly optimistic, and we have to be careful and we have to watch what we're doing.
Absolutely. We have things, we have more things that we'll need to do, even in our 5-year plan that we will revisit. We talked about additional cuts in the future. So your phrase to right size is critical. Right size facilities, right size staffing, right size spending.
And part of the problem, well, I don't want to say it's a problem, but it's going to take time. And for me, it's not moving fast enough, but we're in the process now. We have a facilities committee that's working on that. But to right size a district, we're talking about a couple years down the road probably yet. So that's what concerns me, that it's taking too long to right size the district. And so that means the budget becomes a challenge for the next couple years yet.
Did anyone else have anything more to add?
I think the conversations that you're hearing coming out from our board members and our other members of our finance committee are exactly where we are. It's really important. You know, the rear view mirror is there for a purpose, but the windshield's so much bigger. It's very important to acknowledge where we were so those mistakes don't occur again. But now it's really important to continue with those very successful practice of identifying personnel and all of those things that we put in place. If you look over there, it's a wonderful visual of our district in this area moving forward, because our HR director and our finance director are locked at the hip, and they do a wonderful job collaborating together. And they're both putting systems in place that are allowing us to move forward with better actions and decisions, as we know most of the issues that we're talking about are staffing, and that's how we need to move forward with better decision making. So I'm very proud of the work that both of you the two of you are doing, and that visual right there is outstanding, because they work very closely together, and that's appreciated. And our board members we dig into the numbers, they hear things, they see things from the community, and it's very powerful, important for us to have that. And that committee does represent the school board, and I'm very proud of that committee. Those are the systems that we talk about put in place that will outlast anybody sitting over there or right here. And it's a positive sign moving forward. That concludes my administrative report.
Thank you. Thank you. Was there anything more to add, Director Beck?
I just want to confirm, I heard something tonight that I hadn't heard in the past. The SBRC will approve the special ed deficit authority. Is that correct?
Shall.
Okay, but it's not may.
It shall.
Okay. In the past, we had been told otherwise, and so there was some question, which I never understood.
Yeah, this one's unique. On both of these, they will take all the districts combined and do one mass approval. So yeah, they may question, are the numbers accurate for their revenues and expenditures, but they shall approve the deficit that is requested by the school boards.
Okay, thank you.
Director Foster?
Gary, are you still there?
I am.
Say, would you just explain to the rest of the board concerning the special ed deficit, that's not unusual from district to district? Would you go into that a little bit?
Yes, the districts, school districts, I don't know a number right now, but my guess is the large majority of districts have a deficit, simply because the laws mandating special needs support are so strict, and the funding level has not changed significantly over time. And really, even the Davenport district had a deficit in 15, 16, 17, and 18. They did not in 19, surplus in 20, but it's not unusual. But really, in Davenport's case, it's because we are losing two things: the number of kids that are in special ed, and the weighting of those kids. Each child, based on their level of need, receives a certain weighting. So if they have a lot of support, they would be a level 3. If they have less, maybe a level 2 and a level 1 for probably most of our kids. What has happened is some of those kids who were a level 2 or level 3 have moved down to a level 2 or a level 1. So in a sense, we've got hit two ways. The individual student weighting and the number of kids. But on the other side of that, we're serving 160 students less, but our spending went up 3.5 million. And the special ed team is looking at that. We need to continue to look at it. We've got right now, we've projected the special ed deficit for next year. And because of the reductions that have been made, we expect the salaries and benefits to actually decline. I do believe we'll have a deficit of almost equal value, but it'll be mainly because of a reduction in revenues, because we're going to bring costs down some.
Gary, I pulled the FY, and to Kent's question, I pulled the fiscal year 20 special ed deficit listing for every school district in the state that the SBRC approved. There were 30 school districts that either had no deficit or a positive balance. So there were 300 and how many ever left that actually had a deficit and went to SBRC for approval.
When I first started working with the district, I was surprised that there was not a special ed deficit. But we've got some big questions that we're working with the special ed team, Kevin and Lisa. What's happened to our Medicaid reimbursement? We have to answer that question. Staffing levels, we have to answer those questions to be better prepared.
Thank you, Gary. Was there any additional questions, President Goso?
The only thing I'll add is, and I forgot to do this when we were talking about going to the state school board meeting, but Gary was actually with us and gave them a rundown of the finances and stuff, so I appreciate that, and I forgot to mention that earlier. So thank you again, Gary. We appreciate all your help.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Gary. Okay, and there were no board requests? Okay, we'll start with Director Potts as far as takeaways from tonight's meeting.
I think my takeaway was the reports we got on the TAP and the access program. Just the statistics of success of employment and the life skills that they're coached in terms of punctuality and resourcefulness and organizational skills to, provide these students with the opportunity to be very successful adults.
Mm-hmm. President Goso.
I'm going to piggyback off what Director Potts said. I thought that was a very good presentation. It was nice to see the success rates and all that, and I definitely want to tour that program at some time. Thank you.
Director Kleindro.
I also like the presentation on the transition support for students. I would like to see the program expand. So I hope in the future that we get more students involved in it. And access, I had no idea. I mean, we were, just a wee bit involved with the Project Search, but I did not realize that they did that with Eastern Iowa Community College. So I think that's an awesome thing too. So I just hope it gets more kids involved in this after K-12 schooling.
Dr. Foster.
Yeah, I would agree also with the presentation on the TAP program. but also I appreciate the turnout from parents and kids concerning the mask mandate. I applaud your passion. The one thing I would say now is there's very little that we can do to change anything, but take that passion and put it into your schools, put it into your child's education, help in your school buildings, but just generate that passion. We're early literacy. Only 50% of our third graders are reading at third grade level. You know, we've got to change that. I mean, that is such a huge impact on our district, on our schools, and on our children. And so our priority needs to be student achievement, and we need to focus on that. I know I do not like the mask mandate, but I'm not going to focus on that. I want to focus on some of the things we were just looking at here as far as finances, early literacy, right-sizing our district. That's what will have the most effect on our district. And again, I applaud your passion, and I applaud you coming to the meeting and speaking before the board. And again, funnel that passion into what we can really do to help the kids.
Thank you, Director Beck.
I actually had the same too as Director Poston. I did not know about that access program either, and the whole, all of our assistance programs that we have for students transitioning out of high school, I think are fantastic, and I would like to see them expanded as much as possible to students who need it. And then also, I did want to say I appreciated all the people who turned out to share their comments. It's not easy always to get in front of a school board or to be in public and speak. Public speaking is not everybody's forte. And so I wanted to thank everybody for coming out and sharing their thoughts.
Superintendent Snackloff.
I second that. I'm very proud of the first Mr. Strobing kicked it off. He practiced his speech. He worked hard, and it took a lot of guts to stand up there and tell his side of it. So that was outstanding for me to see. I would like to reflect on the partnership with TAG. Renewing that contract, I think, is really critical. We have programs inside of our district. We have staff members inside of our district that are just second to none, and we're heading in the right. We're growing excellence every day, and I just appreciate that partnership, because to have true professionals that are helping us do that is very positive. So I'm looking forward to continuing that. That was my reflection. Thank you.
I think I would have to agree with all my colleagues, and I don't know if anyone noticed it, but when the young man was up speaking, Superintendent Snackloff was kind of coaxing him along and just kind of giving him, and he's looking to see if it's okay, and he's going, and he finally got going. So that really did take a lot of guts for him to get up and speak how he felt. We've been put in a really awful position here right now. I listened to some of the comments that were being said, and there were a lot of them that I totally understand, especially the ones with the respiratory issues and the difficulty breathing. I too am asthmatic, and I have a terrible time with the mask, but it's something that I do, and I would be just devastated if any one of our students came down with COVID and we lost them. At one point when it first came forward, they didn't think students could catch COVID, but now here in Scott County, there's quite a few that have. So I guess my main concern is if this mask can prevent one student in our district from dying of COVID, I feel it's well worth it. He already went.
Oh, he went, that's right, never mind.
Okay, is there anything else to add? If not, we call for adjournment.
So move.
Second,
Second.
all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. This meeting of the Davenport Community School District is now adjourned.